This is not financial advice. I'm recording my thoughts about Nvidia. In this video, we're going to talk about why Nvidia stock blew up about 30% yesterday and whether it is too late to get into this stock right now. Previously, I've done few videos on Nvidia. I was mostly negative about this stock because the valuation is too rich. Price to sales of 15 plus for a hardware company is extremely rich. In addition, I have followed their past few quarter results and they were actually down year on year because the data center revenue increase was not compensating for the decrease in revenue in the gaming and crypto sector. I have watched this stock going from 150 to 200 to 300 to $380. So needless to say, I was very wrong about this stock. So now let's look at why the stock popped 30%. That was because the second quarter fiscal 2024 outlook, in which everyone was thinking that Nvidia would make about $7 billion of revenue, but instead they said they can make about $11 billion all of a sudden. And that caught everyone by surprise. And in addition, Nvidia has confirmed that Taiwan Semiconductors, the chip maker, has agreed to deliver on Nvidia's demand goals. Let's look at the most recent quarter results. They made about $7 billion of revenue and $2 billion of net income. That's about 30% net profit margin. But when you look into the revenue, it's actually down 13% year on year. But this 13% drop in revenue did not make any difference because their guidance was amazing. $11 billion next quarter. Last quarter, data center revenue appreciated significantly, but the gaming was down about 38% year on year. And even though the professional visualization and automotive has appreciated, the actual revenue is less than $300 million each. So that's nothing compared to their actual revenue. So for automotive, they said they have a deal with BYD and we have to see how much that will convert into revenue. Now quickly look at the valuation. Previously, I've shown the valuation that is on the screen, and based on that, I said this is not a buy. But now, since they've given new guidance, I have to adjust this valuation. So let's look at the revised valuation of Nvidia based on this new guidance. For 2023, I'm assuming that they will continue making this $11 billion a quarter for the next few quarters, thereby ending 2023 revenue to be at $40 billion. I'm going to assume an estimated growth rate of about 30%, with which they can make about $115 billion of revenue in 2027. Last year, Nvidia made about $26 billion of revenue, and I'm assuming that they can make $114 billion of revenue in 2027. That's almost $90 billion extra revenue within the 5 years. This $115 billion of revenue in 2027 is not believable to me because there are only a handful of companies that use these data centers. Everyone else will use the actual service, right? But I'm going to keep this 30% growth rate and $115 billion of revenue in 2027. They are currently making about 30% net profit margin, so I'm going to assume the same 30% net profit margin for this company, with which they can make about $35 billion of net income in 2027. 35 multiple is rich, but I can assign a 35 multiple for a quality company like Nvidia. With that, they can be worth about $1.2 trillion in 2027. Currently, Nvidia has about 2.47 billion outstanding shares, and I'm assuming that they can buy back 1.5% each year. You may think 1.5% is conservative, but it's not, because it takes about $15 billion to buy back these shares based on $1 trillion of market cap. So with that, they can have about 2.297 billion outstanding shares in 2027. When I divide the 1.2 trillion market cap with 2.3 billion outstanding shares, I get a price of $522. But currently they're at $388, right? So that's about 37% gain, which is not too attractive. Also keep in mind that this company's current market cap is almost $1 trillion, and for the trailing 12 months, they made about $27 billion of revenue. That's a price to sales of 30 plus, which is extremely expensive. Even if they make $11 billion a quarter, that's going to be $44 billion of revenue per year. And then when you divide $1 trillion with 44, that'll still result in a price to sales of over 24. That is still extremely rich for a hardware company like this. Overall, I think this stock is extremely expensive. The downside is huge. If they do something wrong in one quarter, or if the macroeconomic conditions change and if the political tensions escalate between China and Taiwan, that'll result in a huge downside for Nvidia, and I'm not willing to take that risk. So at the moment, at $382, I'm avoiding Nvidia, and I'll think about it if it gets to $250 or less. Please provide any feedback. Thank you so much for watching.